I'm going to ask a kind of follow-up question, which is, that answer is not surprising to me when I think about the spreadsheet that you use to track all the 150 biomarkers, or even the yearly challenge. Like executing a yearly challenge requires an enormous amount of discipline. So I'm not surprised by that, but it does seem like potentially you didn't used to be disciplined, and this is something that you've evolved and grown into. And so I guess one of the questions there is like advice for anyone listening that wants to become more disciplined. Is it as simple as picking a discipline and then you've just stacked it over time? Like, as you reflect back on how you got disciplined, I don't know, could you decode that for others listening? Give them advice.
I can actually pinpoint the moment in life when I started pursuing discipline, which was I was very good at math in school, in high school. And because I was very good at math, our kind of math teacher taken me and another girl in the class under her wing, kind of. So we would do kind of private tutoring with her in order to get even better. And I remember this one time, both myself and this girl were there, and then we finished the session, and then um, my teacher was like, "Emi, you should stick around for another 5 minutes." So the girl leaves, and I stick around, and she goes, "Well, you are much better than this girl at math. However, you are significantly lazier. Therefore, she's going to get ahead much more than you are because of that." And that, for some reason, made a bit of an impression on me, and it stayed with me. And I didn't do much of it through high school and so on. But then when I started my first company when I was in college, and because I had both, I had to go to university and run a company, it forced a little bit of discipline into me. And then I discovered how valuable it can be and how much stuff you can get done if you're insanely disciplined, and just layered in more and more and more discipline over the years. I don't think there's any silver bullet down into it. I think it's just like you have to decide you're going to be disciplined and then just like do it, and be okay with the fact that most of discipline is like actually failing at discipline and
It's true.
then not giving up on it.
Yes. Well, it also, yes, I mean, and that totally makes sense. And that's been my experience as well, too. I feel like there are part of it as well, too. Like, I think something that I've often thought about a lot as my life has become more disciplined is you can, I don't see my life as boring. And yet I think for many people, like if they were to follow my daily routine, I, work out in the morning. I go to the same restaurant for breakfast. I order largely the same things. It's like almost cookie cutter. And one of the best quotes that I saw recently that I was like, there we go. That's starting to maybe get at what I see in discipline, which is, is basically something along the lines of sometimes, extreme routines can be a sign of ambition. And I was like, that's actually makes a lot of sense because, in many ways there's a boringness to it, but there's also a fulfillment in the fact you're doing all of those things all the time. Anyways, it's just kind of an observation on discipline.
Absolutely. And the way I think about it is life is essentially an accrual of things you do and decisions you make and habits you form. And you have complete agency about on what those things are. And if you create a lot of discipline in doing the right things, it kind of creates a sort of positive convexity to life, right? Because you're doing all the right things, and you can still get unlucky, but you're more likely to get lucky if you're doing all the right things, which would then kind of steepen the kind of positive end of the convexity curve for your life.
I'd be curious if you have a take on this. I mean, the best, one of the little thought experiments or one of like the questions that's run on a loop in my mind is like, what is that, if you were to try to pinpoint why discipline is valuable, what would you point at? And the way that I've kind of framed that up or thought about it is, we all know that compounding is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. What is compounding? I mean, one of the core ingredients is just literal consistency because you have to do it time and time and time again. And, even just hearing that story of your teacher having a conversation with you about another student, it's almost like what she was saying is this student is more consistent with her practice, so she's going to make more progress. I mean, so for you, do you kind of boil it down to consistency? Does that ring true for you as well, too?
I couldn't have said it better. I think compounding is the most powerful force in the universe. That everything compounds positively or negatively, and therefore you want to compound positive things. And I think one hack to get there is discipline.
Yeah, that's well said.